Good evening. Tonight is a somber one. First of all, before we start, we would like to pay our respects and homage to Chef Jock Zonfriller of MasterChef. We send our deepest condolences from all of us here at Catspace to his family, his friends, and all the fans who loved him. He was young, and he was only 46. And in light of Jock's passing, we are doing this podcast of mental health. I'm Kat. With me is Buckets, Luna, Leon, and Aaron. Okay, let's get started. How important do you think mental health? How important do you think how important do you consider mental health to be, Buckets?
Mental health is actually really important. A lot of people think that um, your outer health, as in your physical health, um, or your physiological health, is way more important than your mental health. But the reality is, I would say that your mental health is actually way more important, because if you can't cope, then you can't do anything else. And your mental health literally dictates how your uh, behavior happens. So if you are stressed out at work, um, that your physical behavior will be a reflection of that. So you will get sick, you will get angry, you will get sad, you will get depressed. Whereas if your mental health is in good nick, then you'll do great things, you'll feel happy, and you'll be a really successful, driven person. So mental health actually does count for a lot.
I'm gonna wait till myself last, Luna.
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
How important do you consider mental health to be, and please elaborate?
Okay, so mental health. Most people take their mentality for granted. People don't realize what it means to have intrusive thoughts daily, negative things constantly being thrown in your brain, traumatic thoughts, constantly PTSD type thoughts. You hear mean things about yourself, you say mean things about yourself. A lot of people take their mentality for granted. By what I mean by that is they don't have those intrusive thoughts. They don't have a daily mean person in their head saying mean things to them. Some people do, yes, but a lot of people don't. So for myself, suffering from certain mental health conditions, I myself put mental health a top priority. It's 100% so important to have a clean headspace, to be able to vibe with yourself. But I would say that majority wouldn't say that mental health is not as important as what people make it out to be, because they have not suffered enough. They probably have gone through trauma, but they haven't gone through enough reoccurring trauma to create a reoccurring thought and be a sufferer of mental health. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah. How
It is. Mental health is definitely important. I don't think that you wouldn't come across anybody that hasn't had a mental health issue. I'm still battling certain mental health issues to this day. There's been times where I just don't want to get out of bed because that's where it takes you. It takes you where, do I want to get up, or do I just want to lay in bed and just, who cares, whatever. It takes you to that point, and it's up to like it's a battle within yourself, whether or not you want to do this, you could do this, and it's going to happen. It's going to continue happening. It's just a matter of training your mind to say, right, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. Screw the mental health.
Yeah,
If I don't
exactly.
get it, if I don't get up and get out of bed, what's going to be, what's going to
Just
become
do
of
it
me?
anyway.
Exactly. Just do it anyway. That's a start.
Yeah. Aaron, how important do you consider mental health to be? And please elaborate.
I think it's very important because you don't know what someone is like has going on up here, and it's just important to keep motivated and just keep moving and get your mind off like bad thoughts, basically.
Like for me, I have to agree with Leon. I too suffer from mental health sometimes, and I find sometimes getting out of bed a little difficult. There are days where I don't want to get out of bed, where I feel I don't want to. But I do have to push myself to get out of bed, to, shower, to do things. As Aaron said, motivate yourself. As you said, as Bucket said, I think mental health should be a top priority. And
Exactly. And without knowledge of that mental health, being sufferers, all of us here, we would all still be in that bed without having that knowledge and the resources and the groups that we know are available.
true. And, the ways you can lift yourself up is to get up out of bed, have breakfast, go for a walk, or listen to music, go to a radio station, volunteer, and some of us, or go to work, or just clean the house, listen to music, dance around, sing around, go visit friends, see friends, go out for lunch or dinner, get motivated to do stuff. And that's really encouraging. What brings me to my second point is, what preventative measures can we take to boost mental health? Buckets?
Well, it giving yourself purpose. So that's a really, really big one. If you give yourself purpose, then you have a reason to live. You have a reason to get up in the morning. And they actually did a study that suggested that straight couples, or couples that have the ability to adopt children, actually have they actually live longer because their children give them purpose. Whereas couples that don't have children, or don't have another purpose, actually will live a shorter life. So it is really, really important that you have some sort of purpose, whether it's going to meet a bunch of friends on the weekend, or going to a job, or helping another set of people, or contributing to a community, or just just doing small things that where you help other people, even if it's just within your own family. It's still very, very important, because it gives your life a reason to live, and that reason is a drive, and drive improves your mental health.
Luna, what preventative measures can we take to boost mental health?
So the first preventative measure I'm going to tell everybody, and this is just what's worked for me, everyone, I'm going to share my story. The first preventative measure is acceptance. You have to accept that you are depressed, and that you've noticed yourself not acting the same, and that you feel unmotivated, you're in bed, you're upset all the time, you're emotional. You have to accept and note and really say out loud, yes, I am mentally unwell right now and I need help. The second step to be after that would be to write down in a book or anywhere, obviously, your triggers. Write down a moment that triggers you. I hear the word orange and I think of this and it triggers me. You write that down. So now that you have in front of you a note by note, all your triggers, now you can start writing solutions. So in your second part of that, to the side of it, you would write, okay, so when I hear the word orange, I'm going to take 5 deep breaths. And that's what you do every single time. And that actually helps to train your brain to create a pattern of, how can I say this? You're helping your brain to create a pattern and establish that positive reaction every time you have that negative thought. That's what's worked for me. I'm not going to say it's going to work for everyone, but I highly recommend it. I highly recommend writing things down, having things in front of you, making sure that even if you in your brain know all your triggers, write them down so that you have them in front of you to look at. And then after that, you might come up with a solution 3 weeks later. You might find that, oh, white noise soothes me when it's nighttime. And then every time you are frightened at the dark, you put the white noise on and you feel better. And slowly, your tolerance on how good that makes you feel, the euphoric endorphins that gives you, will build up. The pattern will get stronger, and your brain will register that as a pattern and start sending endorphins every single time you hear white noise.
Leon, what preventative measures can we take to boost mental health?
Oh, I think Luna's onto something there about writing it down. That is very important to help you figure out what triggers you and how you can avoid it. A routine, like say, as you said during the last answer, routine, get yourself up and go for a walk or whatever. Say if you're a big fella like myself, right? Go up and go for a walk. And next thing you know, you've burned all the calories. You don't even realize you've done that. So if you do that for a couple of weeks or whatever, you'll realize it straight away. Hey, this is different and I'm changing. It's a routine kind of thing. You get into a positive routine, and who knows, you might be able to bounce right out. You might be able to bounce out of it. And next thing you know, you've completely changed and you don't even realize that you've changed. Wait till you look in the mirror and you realized it.
Mm. Exactly.
Aaron, what preventative measures boost mental health?
I think I'd agree with you there, Leon. That routine like works for me because like I go out. I go out every Monday morning with my support worker, so that sort of motivates me to get out of bed, and I go volunteer most times, so that motivates me that I have something coming up in the week that sort of breaks the week up, basically. So yeah, that sort of helps me a bit.
I think what preventive measures we can take to boost mental health is music. Music doesn't have a language, but it is universal. We all listen to the same music. Writing, as Luna said, just write your triggers or write your thoughts and feelings out in a diary. Go for a walk, as Leon said, burn the calories. Or,
And commit to those things each time.
Yes.
bed and just say, for me, what I do is I get out of bed and I go, okay, universe, I'm ready for today. What do you have in store for me? What do I need to do? Do I need to clean the house? Or do I need to go to the mall to see a friend? Or, do we need to go out and do something? Or just it's sort of, connecting to the universe and asking the universe or telling the universe, I'm going to do this today. And connecting with the universe, that really helps me to motivate me to get out of bed.
Can I say something? Sorry. It doesn't have to be a quote unquote exercise thing. Although don't get me wrong, exercise helps enormously. But it doesn't have to be like that. I mean, it could be literally going out and going bowling.
Yeah, playing games,
Playing video games.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exercise can be strolling the shopping center, going for a walk, playing with a dog, playing a video game,
whatever. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be
boring.
boring. It can literally be fun, and the funner it is, the better. Okay, because we used to do karaoke a lot, and that was my mental health escape from the a lot of the counseling stuff that I would do. And for me, that was my therapy. So me singing songs, for me, I was getting all my anger and all my depression and all my sorrow and sometimes even my happiness out into the music that I was singing. But I was so addicted to it that I had to go to karaoke every Wednesday or Thursday. There were points in my life where I was actually doing karaoke 4 nights in a week. That's how much I loved it. But it was great for my mental health because I was always meeting friends. I was always going out. I was always having fun, and there was never a dull moment or a sad moment. I had so many good memories, and that really helped my mental health.
I think another thing is watching a movie, a funny, or better, look at what we do for each other. We talk to each other every day. We play games like Garlic Phone. We do Cards Against Humanity, Scribblio.
It takes our mind off what's going on, And because because in this case it's the group of us, we are having fun doing it. It's a stress relief for us, and we end up having a good time, and we laugh at laugh at what we do. So
Good
And
distraction.
exactly.
not just a great distraction, but it's made us into the family that we are. And I think, it's important. Even get out the time zone, guys. Get out and play, or, just like retail therapy. This is another way to boost your mental health. Read a book too.
Wow, I haven't been
Find
to a
something that
time
you're
zone in
passionate
ages.
about or that you used to be passionate about, and find avenues in which to explore that in a personal manner, whether it's painting, sports, what else could it be, guys? Building, it could be writing, it could be drawing, it could be
Something.
shopping, it could be
Yes.
cooking.
And while Loon is actually rattling off all that stuff, this thing that you see behind me, this painting, when Mum was all stressed out, she did that. It was a stress relief for her, and she used to do that. She did
Wow.
that with my aunt as well. That kind of stuff with my aunt, and I kept this. So it's a 3-piece thing. You can only see two in the background, but there is a 3-piece there. So it's really amazing what you can do to take your mind off it.
Yeah.
Here's the next question. Do we talk enough about mental health buckets?
We do and we don't. There's certainly an awareness of mental health. We have days where there are certainly raise awareness. But I prefer to be on the side of as what can we do about it, because I don't think having an awareness is enough. Awareness just tells you about the problems, but it doesn't quite fix the problems. And that's where I'm not against the idea of having awareness days, but I wish that we could just do a bit more than just awareness alone. I wish we could just do more respite, where we find ways to lower the levels of depression, or lower the levels of suicide, or lower or increase the levels of positive mental health. If we can find programs to do that, or have more funding to do things like that all across the community, and don't just focus it on people who are disabled, focus it on everyone. I think if we can basically have things like that, I think we would not only get a better understanding of mental health, but we wouldn't just kind of stigmatize it and think, oh no, it's only those Down syndrome people that have it, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
That's the wrong thinking.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we should really say, no, everyone's got mental health, everyone, and this is how we can improve it. That's, I think, what we should really do.
Luna, do we talk about mental health?
The year is 2023. Do we talk about mental health enough? No. Have we expanded from 5 to 10 years ago? 100%. It's the industry is booming now. More and more people are willing to accept that they need help, and they need groups, and they need these supports put in place to help them get through things. And more people are willing to talk about their problems openly with, even their neighbors, their friends, their family, whatever it is. So yes, in a way, we do talk about mental health enough, but I agree with Phil with what he's saying, that it seems to be only the people who have suffered or have family members or friends that are suffering that really seem to care about it. The others seem to think that it's a non-existent world. You see someone on drugs in the middle of the street at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you don't think anything about their mental health. You don't think how they ended up there. They obviously need help. They're obviously struggling mentally with something. They've turned to this, but people will just snob their nose up and judge them rather than understand that this is a mental condition. And we are all at the hands of our ever expanding brain and knowledge of what a human is capable of. And in doing that, a lot of people will lose their minds over a lot of things. Figuring out what God is, figuring out what death is, figuring out why they're a boy, figuring out why they're a girl, whatever it is. There's sometimes an invisible answer to a lot of questions, and that's what can send a lot of people mad. So I think it needs to be discussed more in that manner. But the actual topic of mental health sufferers, I feel like a lot of us have come together and band, and we have each other.
And Leon, do we talk
Uh,
about
I agree with all you guys so far. No, I don't think we do. I don't think we do talk about it enough. Even though a lot of, say, resources, as Luna said, has gone into mental health lately, but especially the past 10 years, as Luna said, I don't believe that is talked about enough. Even though there are the resources, but at that point, it's your own mind. You've got to hit rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom, that's when you'll realize I need to start talking about this. And some people, even though they might be in the middle there with their mental health issue, they're not either there or they're not right quite at the bottom yet. When they hit rock bottom, that's when you say, I need help and I need to talk about it. Right now, say a lot of people would be in the middle, not just at the bottom. So it's gonna be there's I have seen a few people say, "Are you all right?" Which is which I think is amazing because I don't see that too much. I would like to see that a lot more, but at the moment we don't see enough of that. So it's you've got to hit rock bottom in order for you to say this is not good. I need help. I know I need to talk about it. A lot of people are just not at rock bottom.
Aaron? Do we talk enough about that?
For me, like, we don't talk enough about mental health in men. Like, it's such a taboo subject, like, when it comes to men. And I think, like, we need to start talking more about, like, like that side of like, because everybody can have mental health, men, women can have, and yeah, but we don't talk enough about mental health in men. That's what I've seen on, like, media and stuff like
Actually, that's actually one thing I'm doing at the moment. I'm doing a not for profit called, well, we can't call it a foundation anymore, but it is under PAN. But that one of the reasons we were building it was because there weren't enough men's peer groups
Mm.
for mental health. There just simply wasn't. There was 4 that I knew of in Australia, just 4. One of them was, the biggest one was Men's Shed, the other one was Men's Table. Then there was a men's book club, I heard, and I can't remember, there was like a men's group that was both men's and women's as well. But I think there was an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander group for men. But there were hundreds and thousands of women's mental health groups that you could go to because they feel that this is a woman's problem, which is quite sexist, to be perfectly honest. But there's plenty of funding for women's groups and stuff because women a lot of the time are seen as the victim, and are quite simply not. They're seen as the perpetrator.
If you're a man out there and you are interested in joining or starting a dialogue with Phil's group, please feel free to comment down below.
Don't forget to get in touch with PAX Australia as well, the CEO and founder of PAX Australia as well. As a counselor, if you're a guy out there, wherever you are, get in touch with PAX.
PACCS Australia.
On Facebook as well. You can message him. Do I believe we talk about mental health? Here's the thing. I agree with Leon and I agree with Luna. We are in the year 2023. Do we talk about mental health? Slightly. Now, yes, it's expanded, as Luna said, from 5 to 10 years ago. But what COVID did was it helped bring back the old-fashioned way of getting off the phone, knocking on the door and saying, hey, how are you? I want to see you. Can I come in for a cup of coffee? Or come on in, have lunch or dinner with me. And I think we have a You OK Day every year in September. And as Leon said, it's not enough. Once a year is not enough. It needs to be every day, every single minute and hour. second of our lives. It needs to be brought up. It needs to be spoken about. It needs to happen. Once a year is not enough to check on our family members and our friends and our work colleagues. Every day should be Are You Okay Day, because this way we can help ourselves, our mental health and theirs and everybody else's, and lift each other up and make each other laugh and smile. Because if we don't check on each other, then there's no point in saying how we feel or what we think or our reaction or why. It triggers an anger response like that. And I think, as Leon said, and as Luna said, we need to talk more about it. And I think it's really important that everybody opens up and shouldn't be afraid to discuss their inner feeling. I mean, we are human beings after all. You actually brought up a point about awareness. Here's the question: is awareness of mental health not as good as an improvement? Go.
I think like the first step is an awareness, but it's not a solution. We need programs put in place to improve the mental health, as opposed to buying a badge and saying, hey, by the way, did you know this actually exists? And then not bother to do anything about it. I mean, that to me, that's like saying, let's give the Cancer Council some money to make us aware of cancer, but not bothering to cure cancer. It's the same thing, right? So it's much better to try and find a solution to mental health, or at least something that helps mental health, as opposed to just making people aware of it but doing nothing about it.
Okay, Luna, is an awareness of mental health not as good as an improvement?
Yeah, as Phil said, they seem to be really good at pointing out mental illness and telling people that they have depression and blah blah, but they don't really have rehabilitation or solution centers. And I think it needs to be more based around that. There needs to be, you send someone to jail for, let's say, they've got schizophrenia and they burgle when they're bad, right? They send them to jail, but they don't have any rehabilitation for their mentality. The mentality is so important. To have a clean, fresh mind. It's not talked about enough. They're so happy to point out that this man's depressed, he's on drugs, he's a criminal, but there's not enough solutions there. All right, now that you've pointed out and you've told him all these things about himself, now let's try and find a solution. There needs to be more things based around that.
What about you, Leon? Isn't awareness of mental health not as good as an improvement?
I don't. We are aware of the mental health institutions. We are aware of all that, but I don't believe it really gets publicly out there that much. I think you might hear it. You might hear it maybe once or twice, but that's once or twice, maybe a year. And if we go back to the Are You Okay situation, where it's only one day, Are You Okay should be at everyday event, not just one day, because take one day, okay, we'll see you next year. We don't even know if you're okay by then. That's what it comes down. That's what it comes down to.
Can I say something on that? The reason why Are You Okay Day was actually created was it was created because a lot of men, a lot of stoic men, don't talk about their feelings because they feel that they're not a man if they talk about their feelings. And so that's a stereotype that society wanted to, well, that whoever created the Are You Okay Day awareness thing created, so to allow or make it okay for men to talk about their feelings if they're going through a hard time. And that was to kind of reduce the level of suicide by getting them to talk about their issues or problems.
I feel like I fall into that category, I believe.
Yeah, but as you say, asking that on one day alone and then never asking that question ever again, I think is a failure, in my opinion.
I agree. You know what? Isn't awareness of mental health not as good an improvement?
Like with awareness, like awareness doesn't do anything. Like we need to find more improvements. Like we need more centers out there. We need like to just find stuff that helps people with mental health. Because like awareness doesn't do anything. It's just there. You know.
I
Yeah.
agree. Awareness is good, but awareness is not enough in this country. And as all of you have stipulated and pointed out strongly, we do need urgent centers. I mean, sure, we have Lifeline and we have Beyond Blue, but we also need centers around Australia for people to go to talk about their feelings. Have every week have a group. What I do at my job is I'm surrounded by my teammates and they're like my family. I love them. And every week or every day that they're with me, I'll check in quickly. One passes next to me, one's doing something else, and I say, "Are you okay? What are you feeling at this moment? How are you doing? Are you coping? How's your day going?" And you know what? Because I ask them those questions, they get to know me and they open up and they're not afraid. And I think, "Are you okay?" Day is not enough. There needs to be something done more because when we ask the tough question of what's going on with you, don't just inbox someone, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" or "How are you?" Call, text, email's not enough.
This is another way we do it right now. Is we're doing this right now via a Zoom meeting. Every time, we talk in, all five of us talk in Messenger, and what's the first thing we say to each other is, "Hi, how are you? How are you going?"
Yeah.
That's an icebreaker straight away.
Agree. Here's the next thing. Do we treat our mental health facilities like prisons rather than facilities of hope? You came up with it.
Yeah, there have been countless human rights abuses in underfunded or mental health facilities that treat mental health facilities as prisons. And there have been cases that I've heard of women literally slamming their heads on the doors or the floors because they weren't getting the attention that they were needing, purely due to underfunding or undertrained staff, or they haven't been trained with the right techniques, or they're just not properly educated, or they just simply don't have any empathy and they're completely burnt out. So we have to stop treating our mental health facilities as prisons because it happens a lot in Australia today. And we've had countless cases about it. And we really do need to give them the care that they need. In courts, a lot of the time, if there is a criminal that does manage to be let go because of the Mental Health Act, they might actually send that person for a longer period of time in a mental health facility. But they're humans as well, and they do have rights. So they may have committed a crime, but they're still humans and they still need the proper rehabilitation.
Yep.
Okay, so you can't just take away their rights just because they're in a mental health facility. Okay, they need to get better. They need to have a better quality of life, and then you need to put them back into the community so they can live rich, productive lives instead of lives where they're going to harm themselves again and they're just going to return and into the system, because that not only is that a huge waste of money on the taxpayer, but it doesn't actually fix anything. So that's where you need to have good professionals that have been properly trained that go into a service with empathy instead of just being another prison guard, because that doesn't work.
What about you, Luna? Do we treat our mental health facilities as prisons rather than facilities of hope?
Look, guys, I've been on the spectrum of both mental health facility types. So I've been in those places where you get locked in and it's like a jail. Do I think those places are necessary? Yes. purely because I don't want these people to be a danger to me or to other people. And I was at those points that I was in these places, I was a danger to other people. So I'm grateful that I had a safe place, that if I did hurt myself or someone else, there was, you know, people around me constantly to help. Do I think they get treated like it's a jail? Yes. There's a lot of restrictions in there that just don't feel like they're going to help someone get better. I do understand the routine part of it, you know, get up at a certain point, have your breakfast, do this, do this. And it's the same routine every day. They're trying to get you back into that normal balance. But then there's those rules, you know, no phones, no this, no that. You can't really do anything in there. You are a prisoner in there. But then I've been on this side of the spectrum where I've been to like a group or a facility or a support group, whatever it is, and they've been so good because I'm there at my own free will, I guess, maybe at the same time too. They've been so good. They've been nothing but helpful, nothing but unjail like. I went there and I got help. And both places helped me, but I do guess that the government run places can come off a little bit like a jail. So yes and no.
What about you, Leon? Do we treat our mental health facilities just like prisons, or rather than facilities of hope? Sorry.
It depends on how you look at it. You know, there's some people who I have heard, you know, that they've gone to rehabilitation and not just necessarily mental health, but rehabilitation where it's actually portrayed like it is a prison cell, like it is a prison that you're stuck there, that you pretty much have to stay there until you're actually able to get into a positive routine instead of the negative routine, because you're just going to stay in that negative routine if you're going to keep um, thinking that way, I suppose. I've never been on the inside of a mental facility, so it's hard for me to judge specifically. So I'll go on what Luna says. It
Think of like
depends.
a boot camp, but no exercising.
Okay, we'll go with the boot camp. Um, I've had, like I said, I haven't been on the inside or the outside, in the inside of one, so I really couldn't tell you. But I suppose like I said, it really depends on how you look at it. It has been portrayed on TV as a jail cell at certain points, and TV shows and all that sort of stuff.
It's
And
true, guys, that you get no privacy showering. You get no privacy going to the toilet. They'll stand there and watch you if they think that you are a threat to yourself. That's the reason I think people think that they're like a jail cell, because of the violation of privacy.
yeah,
As Leon said, I agree. I've never been to the inside or the outside, so I can't assume what it's like. I'm just going on what you're saying, Luna, and it must be extremely painful and violating, and but if it helps, then it brings the hope. Maybe one day
Exactly.
these will be hopeful, like have you know doctors who, or psychiatrists or psychologists who will go to that mental health facility and have group meetings, or I don't know, I'm not a clinical person, but I think we do need to have facilities that are hopeful, like a facility of hope where there's something fun to do every day, that you're not feeling isolated and alone, and you're not afraid. Here's the last question: what will the future of mental health look like? Okay.
You know what? I find that the future of mental health will probably look like closer to things like art therapy, which is, by the way, widely accepted as a wonderful way to get rid of one's anger, pain, and can just positive mental health all around. They'll probably incorporate and have a more holistic approach to things, rather than just say get someone on drugs, and go, yeah, Bob's your uncle, whatever you want, 20 cc's of whatever. They're probably going to go, well, let's basically get you to have more life skills like cooking skills, or
Exactly.
you know, let's basically get you doing more gardening stuff. Let's get you to do things that are more purpose-based, where you actually enjoy your life rather than hating it every single day. I think that is the future of mental health, um, in the future, because otherwise it has no other place to go. And I think there's no such thing as just one service anymore, because there are so many aspects of one's life that you kind of have to integrate with all the services put together. So that's the future for sure.
Luna, what will the future of mental health look like?
We're going to continue on the trajectory that we're on right now. The only elements I can see improving upon this is it's going to be a bigger industry than what it is now. And as I've seen from history, the mental institutions back then were so cruel. They're now still on the cruelish side, as in that jail-like side, but they're not torturous anymore. Do you know what I mean? They don't hurt the people anymore. So there's a certain evolution there of them caring in a way and showing compassion. And I think it will just continue to get more compassionate. It will continue to get, number one, more scientific. People will start working on the brain, trying to develop chemicals that could possibly outweigh the balance of someone's mental illness and therefore fix the problem. And it will also expand in the way, like I said, of compassion. People will be more understanding, more talkative. There'll be more, like what Phil said, there'll be more groups. There'll be more solution-based therapies around it. They'll give you routine. They'll help you create routine. They'll stick with you right through to the end. They won't just give you a plan and say, here, go home and do this. They're going to stick with you through and through, right to the end. And they will really try to mend the human brain and the trauma that you've gone through. That is the future. That's the way future of mental health, is trying to stop mental health. That is the goal of the mental health institutions, is to stop mental health.
Leon, what do you think the future of mental health will look like?
I think it will be more compassionate in the future, as Luna has been mentioning. It'll be more compassionate. It'll be more understanding. A lot more people, maybe if it takes a couple of generations, a lot more people will be more understanding on what mental health is, and it will be a lot easier in the future to be able to deal with mental health issues. I think it will take a couple of generations, maybe, but it'll still be there. It will be there in the future, but there'll be easier ways of handling it. Handling the situation, because more people will become more aware of what mental health issues are.
Aaron, what do you think the future of mental health will look like?
I think the future will be hopefully more senses, and like we'll be able to talk a lot more about mental health, because at the moment it's such a taboo subject and nobody likes to to talk about it, be it their own mental health or somebody else's mental health, you know?
I agree with all of you. I think the future for mental health is everything, all of you have said. Facilities, hope, centers, people talking, people opening up, finding different ways to lift this. As Aaron said, it's so taboo. Like it's almost like a secret. And that secret needs to come out, and it should no longer be a taboo anymore. This is people's lives, at risk, and so many people need to know that you are going to be okay. You are great. You're fantastic. And, I just hope that, there's more things happening rather than less taboos, more open wide, more discussions, more activities, and find a way to end that stigma of mental health, especially. And I'm not just talking mental health up here, I'm talking emotional health as well. This is your emotional health you need to deal with as well. And I think that's what I'm hopeful about. What I want to say is thank you so much for, guys for being here, like for being this. We are a family, and we're always, you know, here for each other. And we're always, I want to say to our subscribers, current, new, and viewers, we are all here for you. You can talk to us at any time, day or night. Don't forget Han and Pax Australia on Facebook, Cat Space on Facebook,
I was
Instagram.
going to say, if anyone of our subscribers or watchers out there suffering through mental health, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and we'll do our best to connect you with some resources to help.
And to hang out with you and talk with you and get to know you. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and click bell. That'll give you more content, and let us know what you think. And as Luna and everybody said, if you're out there, comment below. Thank you so much. Thanks, Buckets, and everyone. Thank you, Australia. Until then, wherever you are, have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.